Have you ever wondered why protests against the Hawaiian state annexations are still happening today, more than a century after it became a part of the United States? To truly understand, we need to look back at Hawaii's history and the legacy of its last reigning monarch, Queen Liliuokalani. Over 100 years ago, Hawaiians were already resisting annexation. The Queen, deeply opposed to the overthrow of her kingdom, fought to preserve Hawaiian sovereignty. But to fully grasp why these protests continue, we need to dig even deeper. Before the protests, before the rallies, there was this: the Queen imprisoned in her own palace after the illegal overthrow of the Hawaiian kingdom. But even this moment is just one piece of a much larger story. To understand the full picture, we have to go back even further, to the very beginning.
Today, we are going to delve into the story of a remarkable and righteous queen, Lydia Lilu Loloku Alani Wewehi Kamikaya. Later known as Queen Lili Olukalani, she was born September 2nd, 1838, into a noble Hawaiian family during a time of great change in Hawaiian kingdom. From a young age, she was destined for greatness, growing up surrounded by royalty and influential leaders.
Lydia was Henei, which meant she was raised in part by another noble family. This practice was common among Hawaiian nobility that also strengthened alliance among ruling families. She attended the prestigious Royal School, where she was immersed in the study of Western subjects, learned English at just 4 years old, and was taught alongside other young nobles, all of whom were potential heirs to the throne. Her time at the Royal School gave her a broad understanding of governance, diplomacy, and the changing political landscape that would later shape her reign.
Her family's high status meant she was constantly surrounded by royalty. Her mother, Kio Hakalole, served as an advisor to the sitting king, further cementing their family's political influence. As she matured, Lydia became widely recognized as one of the most eligible noble women in the kingdom. Upon completing her education, she was often referred to as the highest unmarried woman in the kingdom, a title reflecting both her social standing and her potential role in the future of Hawaiian leadership.
In 1870, Lydia became engaged to an American businessman named John Owen Dominus. 2 years later, they married, but their union was far from a happy one. In her memoirs, she later described the difficulties and dissatisfaction she experienced in her marriage, which was strained by cultural differences, personal hardships, and the political barrier that surrounded them. Nevertheless, she remained dedicated to her role in Hawaiian society and continued her work as a composer, cultural advocate, and political figure.
Hawaii, once an independent and sovereign nation, faced increasing foreign interference, particularly from American settlers and sugar plantation owners who sought to expand their influence. These individuals recognized the commercial value of Hawaii, which ideally situated a gateway between the Pacific and lucrative Eastern market.
The political situation took a turn for the worse when King Kalakaua, Lydia's brother, was forced by American businessmen and settlers to sign the 1887 Bayonet Constitution. This document stripped the Hawaiian monarch of much of its power and transferred political control to foreign residents, many of whom had economic ties to the sugar industry. This was the first sign of American imperialism in Hawaii history.
When King Kalukua passed away in 1891, Lydia ascended to the throne as Queen Lili Alukalani. However, her reign began as a precarious moment in Hawaiian history. She inherited a kingdom whose sovereignty was rapidly slipping away due to the pressure of imperialism and economic greed.
As queen, Lydia was determined to restore the power of the monarchy and protect the rights of her people. One of her first major initiatives was to draft a new constitution that would undo the restrictions placed by the Bayonet Constitution and return governing power to Native Hawaiians. However, her efforts to reassert Hawaiian sovereignty were met with fierce opposition from American businessmen, plantation owners, and politicians who had grown accustomed to controlling Hawaii's economy and government.
Fearing that leadership would threaten their interests, these foreign elites, led by Sanford B. Dole, with the backing of the U.S. government, orchestrated a coup d'etat in 1893. With the support of the U.S. military forces, they removed Queen Lili Alukalani from power. This act of political betrayal was not only a devastating moment for Hawaiian people, but also a stark example of American imperialism in action.
Following the overthrow of the monarchy, Queen Lydia was placed under house arrest in Lolani Palace. While in prison, she was accused of treason and forced to sign a document abdicating her throne in exchange for the release of her loyal supporters. Despite her confinement, she remained a powerful symbol of resistance.
During her imprisonment, she wrote Hawaii's Story by Hawaii's Queen, a memoir that detailed her life, her rise to the throne, and political struggles she faced. This book became an important historical record, offering insight into the injustices that led to Hawaii's annexation. She also composed music and songs, including Aloha Away, which became an anthem for her people's sorrow and resilience. Through her words and music, she encouraged her people to continue fighting for their rights and cultural identity.
Despite Queen Liliuokalani's efforts to reclaim her throne through legal and diplomatic channels, the United States continued its push toward annexation. President Grover Cleveland initially opposed the illegal overthrow and even offered a deal that could have restored the monarchy. However, Sanford Dole interrupted and denied this offer, as well as Cleveland's successor, President William McKinley, who sided with business interests and expansionist policies, showing how powerful businessmen were and how fragile the government was against them. With the outbreak of the Spanish-American War in 1898, Hawaii's strategic location became even more desirable to the U.S. military, sealing its fate.
On July 7, 1898, the U.S. officially annexed Hawaii, making it a U.S. territory. This act ignored the petitions of thousands of native Hawaiians who opposed the annexation, demonstrating how powerful economic, political forces, and imperialistic beliefs had overridden the will of the Hawaiian people. Although Queen Liliuokalani was wrongfully robbed from her rightful place on the throne, she made it her utmost priority to protect the rights of her people through the means of civil disobedience and compliance against imperialistic America. Even though it wasn't enough, she spent the rest of her life working to preserve Hawaiian culture and advocating for Native Hawaiian rights and fighting for the dignity of her nation.
At the age of 79, Lydia passed away on November 11th, 1917. To this day, she is remembered as a symbol of Hawaiian resilience and resistance. She displayed a deep responsibility for her people, and her story serves as a reminder of the struggles faced by indigenous people in the face of imperialism, as well as the enduring strength of Hawaiian culture and identity. Even though Queen Liliuokalani is no longer with us, her ambitions and dreams for a sovereign Hawaii live on in the hearts of her people. Today, her legacy continues to inspire movements for Native Hawaiians' rights, cultural preservation, and historical justice.
Her story is not just a Hawaiian story, it is a universal story of strength, perseverance, and the fight for justice against harsh and unjust imperialistic America.